Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and today we're chatting with another second-time guest of this show, Mr. Jason Miles. He's a good friend of mine. He was on episode 12, and he told his story then, and you can go back and listen to that. He's got a very fascinating story of how he and his wife were selling doll clothes that she was sewing on eBay one by one, and now they have a whole doll clothes empire. It's crazy what they've accomplished. Jason knows how to get traffic to a website. So if you have a site, you're selling anything, you have a site at all, obviously one thing you need is eyeballs on that page. So listen to this episode. It's packed full of great content, great wisdom from somebody that's been doing this for a long time. So here is my interview with Jason Miles. Jason, welcome back to Streams of Income Radio. Appreciate you being on with me again.
Thanks, man. It's an honor to be here. Really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, this is number 2 for you. So you're a very short list of people that have been on twice.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you. It's an honor to be in the short list there.
Oh, yes, sir. So you were on episode 12, guys. If you want to go back and listen to more of we can talk about some of the background stuff as well. It's always good to kind of refresh people's memories if this is the first time they've ever heard from you or even ever listened to this podcast. But let's talk about who Jason Miles is really fast, kind of how you got started, and then we'll jump into your new projects.
Sure. Yeah. Happy to share a little bit about our story. My wife and I started our online selling 2007, 2008 on eBay. We ran auctions for about 18 months as our kind of entry into the world of e-commerce. It was a blast. We needed money. We were desperate for cash, which is why we did it. So we built a little brand and started that way. But we really, over the last 10 years, have clarified in our own minds, I think, that we consider ourselves tent makers. Now, I was in a Christian ministry for 20 years as a full-time job. Before we got married, she was in YWAM Youth with a Mission. So a tent maker, if you're not familiar with the model, is the Apostle Paul from the New Testament had a lifestyle that he outlined and shared and shared it as an encouragement to people. And that outline of his life was basically he worked making tents so that he could have a side hustle, I guess you'd call it.
Right.
Of evangelism and to use the modern vernacular. And so that we kind of feel like our e-commerce efforts are our day job, but our real passion and the conviction of our heart really is to spend more and more time in our ministry, which is called So Powerful. It's a charity that we set up in 2010. And so we do both things, but we're happy to talk e-commerce with people when the topic is there, and we're happy to talk about Christian ministry and efforts around the world when that's the topic. So
that's awesome. I just interviewed somebody named Cindy Tawia, who I got turned on to from another guest. So our guests always sometimes can turn into other guests, but she has a brand called Diva by Cindy, and she uses that. It's a hair care products, and her passion is essentially her spa days that she does for homeless women around her area. And so her product business is just fuels her ministry, which is bringing people into these spa days. She loves on them, ministers to them, prays for them. There's a lot of inner healing that goes on because a lot of these women have gone through domestic violence. Sure. And so she uses her physical product, the money she gets from that, to fuel this ministry. So that's really cool that you're doing kind of the same thing. And yours is in Zambia, is that right?
Yeah, we have a program working in Lusaka, Zambia. We're expanding quickly in the country in terms of the reach of our programs, and then we have people who are basically our volunteer coordinators, regional coordinators around the world: Brazil, UK, Australia, Canada, on and on, all around the U.S. And so we really have a global reach in that regard on the volunteer side, and how the program works is sort of it's all sewing related, really, in a lot of ways in terms of how we engage with people. But on the ground in Zambia, we have a farm, the Three Essers Farm. I don't know if you see my T-shirt.
Yeah,
I'm repping the merch today. And then we have a soap making cooperative. And then we have a sewing cooperative, and all of those work together to create what we call purposeful products, which are things that make a difference in the lives of the community members. School uniforms, reusable hygiene pads, soap, farm fresh food, and they also create jobs for the folks who are there making it all happen. So
that's cool. I know. I definitely want to talk about your new book and talk about traffic and all that, because that's key. But camp here just for a second. Like, so how I know that when you and Cinnamon started your eBay business, did you have in the back of your mind this direction you've gone was so powerful? Was that even on the radar?
We started on eBay in 2007, 2008, and then I didn't really stumble into the community in Lusaka and meet our partners there until March 2009. So really, we started on eBay before we had any ministry idea, and then eventually, though, we started doing this idea called Liberty Jane Gives Back, where we would do auctions, and the proceeds of the auctions would go to the ministry projects. And then eventually, as it scaled, it allowed me to retire from the 9-to-5. That's awesome. And it allowed us to really use it to scale up a ministry that's, we don't take any salary or anything like that out of the charity. We consider it a lean, mean, doing good machine. We try to have an overhead rate that's super low. And it's all volunteer driven, that kind of thing. And
that's awesome. So I know that there's people in my audience, Jason, that want to do the same thing, but may not really. Maybe they have an area of the world on their heart or some type of ministry. How would you advise them? I know it's kind of just with action comes clarity. As you start moving that direction, doors will open and stuff, and the Lord will provide and show you which way to go. But is there anything that people can do to kind of if they want to have what you guys have, what can they be doing to go down that road? What are some of the practical things to be thinking about, how to turn an e-commerce business into a ministry?
Well, I would say it just starts with the intentionality of wanting to go in that direction, and just be very clear about, if you're a Christian, you've got the concept of tithing. So 10% of your income would go to your church, is the traditional tithing concept. But then there's what we all called offerings, which is, what are you going to do above and beyond that? And so what we took from our original work was, once we got out of the situation of needing the cash, which is a whole different story for our e-commerce work, we realized we could use it to be a blessing to other people. And so we just figured, okay, we're going to take part of this financially and commit it. And then the question is, what do you commit it to? And I think that's a longer conversation about what's on your heart, what God puts in front of you, being wise about, ministries that you can support and vetting them, and really being careful to do good and to work with solid partners. But there's a lot there to struggle through. But I think the main thing is to be intentional about saying, we really care about this one topic. We're going to find somebody to collaborate with, and we're going to dedicate, even if it's 5% of our sales.
That's awesome.
Or, whatever.
Obviously, the sewing niche is your guys' thing, and so that made sense. How did Zambia come into play, as far as how did you pick that area of the world out?
Yeah, I was on a trip, and I used to work for World Vision as a major gift fundraiser. So, and that was my background. So, charity is my background. I have a graduate degree, MBA with an emphasis in nonprofit management. So I knew, I know the mechanics of all that kind of stuff. But I was just leading a trip, and we had an off day, and so we went to a local slum. Our on the ground contact person said, "Hey, there's something happening we could show you today if you're interested." We went, and we met a beautiful group of moms, and God just totally convicted me. So it was the leading of the Lord. It's just serendipity, Yeah.
That's cool. I love it. Yeah. So guys, if you're interested in that, just go to, is it sopowerful.org? Is that where they can learn more about that?
Yeah.
Get involved in that.
SEW powerful.org. Yeah.
Yeah. So other than
So
like
powerful.
obviously giving donations, how else can folks be involved? I know you have opportunities, like if you're really good at sewing, you can actually make purses and things.
Yeah. Yeah, we
That
have a
wouldn't be
program
me,
called this.
so I'm not going to be doing that.
No, I talked to Elaine, or not. I don't know, whoever. We have a program called the So Powerful Purse. It's sort of our signature program. It allows people to participate and make a cute purse for a reason. You could go to the website and check it out.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's probably giving a financial gift is the simplest way.
Absolutely.
In the future, we hope to have other ways in which people can engage, but those are the two.
Cool. Trips to Zambia with you guys?
We go every year.
Yeah.
We had to cancel this year because of COVID stuff.
Sure.
But we have gone every year for a long time, and that's always a fun time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, I love that. That's awesome. I'm sure we'll be, can always talk about that more, but let's get into the new projects that, since we had you on the last episode 12, guys, you can go to streamsofincomeradio.com, and that episode is titled How to Find Your Niche, Scale Your Business, and Build Your Brand, because Jason is just a brand building master. He's got master classes on that. He's got a Winning on Shopify course. He's the author of Instagram Power, Pinterest Power, and other books, but brand new book, 9 Mountains of Traffic.
Yeah.
Everybody who, obviously, if you have an e-commerce business, you need people to come to your site, come to your Amazon store, come to your eBay store, come to your Shopify site. So traffic is something that everybody needs to have when you're in business. So talk about that book, and let's dig into that.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of a research project that was on my heart and mind for a couple of years that I've sort of clarified my thinking on, turned it into this concept called 9 Mountains of Traffic. And the idea was, when I was doing work for the McGraw-Hill book, Pinterest Power, Pinterest doesn't clarify itself in its own writings and press as a social media company. They consider themselves a visual discovery engine and consider themselves competing with Google. And it really, like, when I was reading their stuff, I was like, what are these guys talking about? But it really begged this question, which was, like, what are the types of traffic available on the internet? And how do you categorize them? Because what I was trying to understand was, how are they categorizing them? And how could they say they're not a social media company? And so I was like, well, what are the buckets? What are the big buckets?
Of traffic, right?
Yeah.
Of ways to get traffic. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what's so weird? No one's actually clarified it. Like, no one says to you, here are the specific ways. Well, I just started grouping things together. Like, this goes with this, and what is this? What is that? And I basically came up with 9 big buckets of traffic.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any more than that. I think there are 9. And if you're listening to this and you want to propose a 10th mountain, is what I'm calling them,
right?
Then feel free. But the list of 9 I'm happy to rattle off. But
let's do it. Let's talk about some of those and which ones are, where people can get started.
Yeah. So let's just walk through them real quick. So the first mountain is, in the original form of online marketing, is email marketing. Yeah. That is a unique and just an incredibly powerful form of online traffic. So that's the first one. The second one is organic search. Google dominates that. Google drives something like 87% of global search. So they just crush that. Yeah. And then the third one is what I call branded browsing. No one else uses that phrase, but Google will call it direct. And that just means that people directly type the URL into their browser. I call it branded browsing because obviously they have to know your brand to do that. Yeah. The fourth source is organic social. So that's when you just do work in social media platforms, but you're not you're not paying for it. It's just organic efforts. And of course, there's a ton to unpack there. There's all the social media platforms. Sure. And then there's organic referral. Organic referral is when big blogs or big influencers send people to your product or to your website for free. You didn't pay for it, And then there's paid social, paid search, paid referral. So that's type 6, 7, and 8. And then the ninth one is paid display. And that's really been popularized in the last couple of years by retargeting and remarketing. It used to not be too cool for a few years. Remember in 94, like when the banner was a big thing, and like at the beginning of the internet,
Yes.
yeah, or the World Wide Web. But now paid display has come back because of
Okay.
retargeting, remarketing.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
these are the 9. I do
Uh-huh.
think that some people ask, like, how does broadcast like ManyChat or that kind of thing fit in? And I always email I describe loosely as broadcast marketing.
Okay.
So you could have a big ManyChat list, or like in my case, I have over 30,000 students on Udemy. I can email them 4 times a month. It's technically not an email from me. It's sort of me broadcasting to them through the system. So those are the 9. And I think there are massive opportunities for all of us as e-commerce sellers, whether you sell only on Amazon or whether you sell on a few other channels, whether you have your own Shopify site or e-commerce website or not. The opportunity to tap into the 9 mountains of traffic is just phenomenal. So I wrote a book about it. It's a little book, 48 pages, 9mountains.com. You can snag it. I have supplemental training course you can opt into, that kind of thing. But I might come out with a second edition of the book and really beef it up.
Yeah.
With more training and examples. But yeah, the whole idea of it is just to give people a framework so that they can then have sort of a success path, which you and I did chat about. I think we talked about it earlier.
Sure.
I'm putting together sort of the success path details for people as well. So, where to start, how to start, and how to really get just a mountain landslide or avalanche of traffic, which is what we all want. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget, where would you put the you guys are big, you and Kyle are big in talking about the not sweepstakes, but what's the contests? Where would that go in that?
Contests are basically sort of what I call a super strategy. So in the book, actually, 9 Mountains, I have 3 super strategies. One of them, contests. And so contest is almost like it's like a strategy that supersedes 3 or 4 mountains. So technically, if you do a Pinterest contest, it's a social media thing, organic social. But if you do a contest like what we teach people to do on your website as a blog post, that you have like a Rafflecopter or that kind of tool, then what you're doing is it's technically a blog, but the call to action is frequently sign up for my email list, follow me on Instagram, or like all the call to actions, and those touch on all these various types of mountains of traffic. So it's sort of a overarching approach. One other super strategy that I'll just mention is influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is a fantastic opportunity right now for all of us, whether you have an Amazon product that you're selling or your own e-commerce site. Getting a group of influencers to promote for you really allows, again, multiple mountains to be tapped into. They might blog about you and share that on their YouTube channel or their Instagram, or on and on and on. Put it in their email, and it really allows you to tap into traffic from a lot of sources. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's dig into that in a second too. I want to, maybe just do that first, because I also want to ask you, because that's 9 mountains, so it's like, holy cow! Where do I even start? I know you said your next book is going to go start talk about the success path, where to start, but maybe we can give some folks a snippet of where to begin thinking about starting, because you're, as an entrepreneur, there's so many different options. There's so many different things you could potentially be doing. All these social media platforms that are within your paid social and organic social, and it's just overwhelming for folks. So I love to be able to break things down, make it easier. So I guess let's do that first. Where to start? Where would you? What would you suggest folks if they just have been selling on Amazon, they have an eBay account, they're doing some of all of that, maybe they have a private label brand and they're just starting maybe a Shopify site or something. They're like, now what? I'm so used to Amazon. Amazon brings me people. Right. Now I have my own site. How do I get people to even know that I exist?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it can be overwhelming. And that's why I made this book and the framework so that people could have a clear outline of what they're even working on, what they're working towards. And I always encourage people to start with email marketing. It's the first and best form of traffic generation. And then beyond that, what I say to people is master the free versions of traffic. And so that means blogging once a week would be a fantastic tactic. But that means you have to have a website. So let's just say you're an Amazon seller and you got a private label product just on Amazon. Can you do email marketing? Yes, you can. Go sign up for Wishpond, do a contest, give away one of your products, and the entry method is sign up for your newsletter list, which you can set up on MailChimp for free. Build up to 2,000 names for free. And between using a contest strategy and MailChimp, those two tools, you have email marketing system. And so I always encourage people, use free, learn free, do blogging for organic search, do organic social. Then after that, do influencer marketing, where you can just give away some product in exchange for some shout outs. Learn those things, because learning those things will teach you how to do really effective marketing. And it will take more time and more sweat, but you'll learn, man. And that's the main thing. Is I just, with no disrespect to anybody out there in the universe, I hate people's messaging when it says, this is so simple, anyone can do it. Oh, anyone can do this, it's so simple. It's just not true. It's just a lie. This is hard work. I mean, it's an insult when people say, oh, this is so simple, just push this button. I just don't care for that, because I feel like it's disingenuous and it's insulting, because all of us try so hard. And, it's not easy. And so I encourage people to do the free stuff first. Now, what most people teach you, most gurus, is what? Facebook advertising. Right. So that's the first thing that people teach you. And most of the time, 90% of the time, that will fail for you. You will not make that work. Yeah. But if you learn email marketing and then you learn the other free strategies, so you learn what works for blogging and why it works. You learn what works for organic social media and why. And then you start to tap into the paid strategies, then you're cooking with grease. You've got traffic strategies from multiple locations, and you really can scale to the point where you can use ads effectively, but you also have a lot of traffic from a lot of long-term free sources. Pinterest is our best source of traffic. We have 1.3 million monthly views for our Pinterest contest for Pixie Fair, which is our e-commerce site. Anybody can go check it out. You can go see our stats on our Pinterest account. You can see the 1.3 million. So learning those strategies, I mean, that's the place to start.
I'm glad you said that, because it's so many people say, you hear folks say, how much I have to have this tool and this pay, especially like Amazon sellers, for example, all these paid tools that are out there to do research that you can spend hundreds of dollars on every month, and you've never even made a buck yet. So I love that you said, get started with the free stuff first, learn that, and then go to the paid things.
That's definitely the way to do it. It's the slow game, but it's a smart game, because you're learning. And the main thing about traffic is that the more you learn, I know it's cliche, but the more you earn. And you just have to learn these systems. And if you meet anybody who's really crushing it online as it relates to generating traffic and sales, they just learn more than you have. Just go learn what they learned. And some of the biggest people online, I mean, Brendan Burchard, he was huge. If you hear him talk, and he'll frequently say, I'm a one-man band. I do the whole thing. I do it all. And a lot of people are like that. Russell Brunson's like that. They learn this stuff, and we can learn it. It's not rocket science, It's just layering skill upon skill, little by little, starting with what you can understand and implement, and then going from there.
I think can we reiterate what you said about Wishpond and the MailChimp? Because I think that right there would be, if somebody could just listen to one snippet of this whole podcast episode, it might be that right there. So
it's a contest strategy, and we have contest content and trainings on winningonshopify.com. Kyle and I, he's my business partner. We have a whole contest training, and so the contest idea is basically, if you have a website, you do it one way. If you don't have a website, you do it a different way. Okay. And so that's sort of the big bifurcation right there. And so let's say you don't have a website. No worries. Go sign up for Wishpond or Viper or other tools where they host the contest for you. If you have your own website, then it's wiser to use a tool like Rafflecopter and embed the contest on one of your pages, because people are then going to your website. So yeah, so that's and Wishpond, go check it out. But there are other tools you can use, and you can even do a contest just on like pin it to win it contest. You don't even have to have a tool. As long as you're not violating the terms of service, you can go do a contest on Pinterest or Twitter or wherever, Instagram. You can just learn those systems. It's very simple. And then the call to action would be sign up for my newsletter list.
Love it. And you get a couple thousand emails potentially.
For free. Yeah.
Yeah, for free. Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So, yep.
So if they want to learn more about that, go to winningonshopify.com and if they want to dive deeper into those strategies.
Yeah, and I also have a whole suite of courses on Udemy. Mr. Jason Miles is sort of my author teaching site. So you can, mrjasonmiles.com has all my links to all my courses and that kind of thing as well. But I just encourage anybody who's listening to this, don't be overwhelmed. Just break it apart.
Yep.
One thing at a time. Go for the free strategy. And I really, love the idea of just locking down one system, getting it really working it well, and then bolting on that second thing. And so many of us just dabble,
Sure.
We go bounce around.
I'm
trying a Pinterest promoted pin today for $5. Tomorrow I'm trying Instagram. The next day I'm trying ManyChat. I mean, you just don't want to live your life that way. It's way smarter to just do one thing and really get good at it. It's like the old Bruce Lee quote, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who knows one kick and has practiced it 10,000 times.
Wow.
And that's the lesson, I think, is just go learn one of the mountains and crush it, and then go to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's talk Instagram for a second. I had lunch. Sure. I think I sent you that guy's email. Joe, my friend that has, I'll just, mention it's Bopensky Water Sports, and he invented a two-legged chair that fits on the back of a jet ski that people can just go out because normally, I guess, I'm not a jet ski guy. I've been on a few times in my life, but he said most of the time people go out there, they, after a few minutes are like, well, what do I do now? I'm kind of bored. So he made it so that people could go and hang out. You could have two people with you and it's comfortable. And you could just hang out in the middle of the lake or wherever, or even fish potentially with it. And so I was trying to think of, because I've learned a lot from you. And so I was trying to think, what do I know about, of course I know Amazon pretty well, but how could I take what I know and help this guy? And so one of the ideas I was telling him is, who is your audience?
Sure.
Where do they hang out online? Who are the gatekeepers? So who are the influencers in this market? Yeah. And so I pulled up my phone and I looked on Instagram and I typed in jet ski and looked for some accounts and different tags and all that. And I am not an Instagram expert like you, but we came up with some potential accounts of people he could reach out to. Yeah. How would he get started in that? And I know you guys have whole training, but given the 30,000 foot view of how somebody like that who has a product, start reaching out to folks. What does he say? Yeah. How many does he looking for? People that have 1 million followers, 100 followers, all of that.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on the right track. Instagram could be super cool. Of all the money spent on e-commerce advertising, mobile advertising right now, I'm just looking at this little chart.
Yeah.
64% is on toys and hobbies. 61% is on video games. 53% is on jewelry and watches, and then 41% is on sports and fitness, which his product would fit into.
Yeah.
So a lot of money spent on sports and fitness stuff. His would be perfect for Instagram influencer strategies. So you're totally on the right track. So the question is, how do you go about that? Well, here's what I would do. I would go find sports and fitness influencers that you think might be right. Make a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, and just list them. What's their name? What's their Instagram account, and then website, the basics.
Sure.
And then generally speaking, influencer marketing is sort of a stratosphere of like engagement activity. So, and just as context, we have a whole course on influencer marketing called our Influencer Marketing Masterclass. Yep. I'm an influencer in the gardening space, believe it or not. My site is called The Happy Gardening Life. We have about 265,000 Instagram followers, and I do commercial shout outs and paid deals for gardening products. So here's how it kind of works. If you're a micro influencer, let's call it, maybe under 10,000 fans or followers, let's say just in Instagram. Frequently, you'll just do deals for free product.
Okay.
Now, in his case, it's probably an expensive product.
Yeah.
So he'd want to ratchet that up. Maybe he'd look for people who have 100,000 followers.
Okay.
The right kind of person who's doing water sports, that kind of thing, and just reach out. Hey, I'm the brand owner for XYZ. Wondered if you are open to affiliate deals. Now, if he finds accounts that say DM me for, promotional info, whatever, he'll know. Then. Yeah, just DM them. And then you just go from there. Most influencers of the 100,000 or above range will want cash plus a product.
Okay.
And if they're 1 million plus followers, they're generally called a celebrity influencer.
Yeah.
And they'll generally want more, but it doesn't have to be dramatic. And so you just want to work through that spreadsheet. Start small, test your way, and you might find people who ultimately would be like long-term brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
And if he found somebody who maybe, let's say they had 10,000 Instagram followers, but they're really cool in terms of their video that they're creating and stuff like that. If he started collaborating with them now, in 2 or 3 years, when they have 1 million followers, he could have just grown right along with them.
That's
and
right.
So it's kind of it's a relational kind of, it's almost like a sales team collaboration idea. And so that course that we have, Influencer Marketing Masterclass, goes into all the details, the deal structures. We have deal templates, all kinds of detail. Yeah.
That's awesome. In general, is it, you get somebody who has 1 million followers to send out something, their engagement. I know you were talking, I went through part of that masterclass. There's a site that you recommend that shows engagement levels. As people get a huge amount of followers, the engagement goes down, where you might have people that have only 10,000 followers, but they have massive engagement.
That's right.
Their followers feel like they know that person.
Yeah.
And so that person maybe even be more valuable as a person to partner with.
That's right. Yeah. There are tools that you can use to audit people's accounts, especially accounts that are, you just want to look to see, is it a healthy account? Yeah. Or have they bought followers, that kind of thing. So influencermarketinghub.com has a ton of resources. Okay. I write about all this stuff in the Instagram Power Book. That's kind of my latest book, and it's out there in Barnes & Noble and all over the world. So you can go check that out. But Influencer Marketing Hub is a good resource for that. Then you can see, okay, this person is a smaller number of followers, but really good engagement. And, those influencers frequently are trying to figure out how to monetize their work. So one tip that we have in our Influencer Marketing Masterclass, we did some hot seats with real influencers.
Yeah.
And some of our students. It is really cool.
I remember
And one of the tips, Alejandro Reyes is an influencer on YouTube. He said, always approach the influencer and tell them that your budget for the campaign is half of what you really want to spend. So if you're willing to spend $1,000, tell them your budget's $500.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of a negotiation tactic, So you just go from there.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's good. Wow. Good stuff. I feel like you and I could talk. Well, you have a new podcast where you talk about all this stuff all the time, and you're up to how many I've been doing this since August of 2019, and I'm at 51 episodes or so. Yeah. You're at that much already, and you've only been doing this a few weeks.
We're in. This is our 3rd month. We just started our 3rd month. I think we're at 51 episodes.
That's crazy.
The anchor content is like hour-long conversations. Maybe not that long, but like 30 minutes, whatever. But they're longer, and they're with e-commerce leader in London named Michael Veazey. Real good guy. He was one of my former coaching client, and he's a good podcaster. Just really solid guy. And he runs a mastermind group in London for e-commerce sellers. So him and I go into these topics and do a deep dive. Yeah. It's not like a interview people type podcast. It's more just us talking deeply about these things. And it's going well.
What's the name of the podcast that people can check out?
The E-commerce Leader. And the website's theecommerceleader.com. Right now, we're the #1 e-commerce podcast on Spotify.
That's crazy.
If you spell e-commerce with a dash.
Okay.
The E in
That's so good, man. That's awesome.
If you don't include the dash, we're not #1. So
#3 or something.
Whatever. Right? Not really. But anyway, so it's fun. But we're having a blast with it. So feel free to check that out if you'd like to go deep. We just go deep on specific topics.
Yeah.
And then we have other shorter episodes where Kaya, my other business partner, and I do book reviews and little tips. Like we do little 8-minute sessions as well.
That's cool. I feel like you guys are you, Kyle, and Michael. Like if you want a college level, maybe even master or PhD level education on e-commerce, you guys are the guys. Like, I feel like I'm higher up here showing you like all the different ways to make money online, kind of get people motivated, energized. Like, here's some ways to go. But man, you want to dive deep? That's you. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's fun, man. We have a blast with it, but we love this stuff. I mean, it's the passion of our career work lives, and we geek out over it and all the detail and all the ways you can, so yeah, it's really fun.
That is awesome. Well, man, you are welcome back anytime. You have another project, you let me know what you're doing. I want to have you back on because I know I talk to a lot of Amazon sellers, and that's a lot of my audience, but they want to do other things besides Amazon. People,
sure.
They want to start do other platforms or start a website, sell their physical products elsewhere. And I always point people towards you because that's what you do, and you do it well. So
thank you, man. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity. And I would just, again, encourage anyone listening, do not be overwhelmed. Don't feel like there's a million things to learn. Just go learn one thing. And again, back to the beginning, email marketing or free traffic strategies, and dive deep into it, and you can do it. And over time, you'll be amazed at what happens.
That's right. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, man.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.